Hi, this is Violet from Scrappy Mania, and today I want to show you how to create a pressing cloth. And I saw a video, and I'll put the link to the lady who created a pressing cloth, or there's a couple ladies that I've been watching how to create these. And it inspired me to create one of these because I am starting to quilt, to learn how to quilt. And sometimes it was kind of hard to go to my iron board and then go back to the sewing machine and then come back to the iron board every time I was quilting my pieces. So I decided to create a nice portable one that I can put right next to my my sewing table, and where I can iron the pieces and I can easily go ahead and sew them as I iron them. Now this is the prototype that I created, and it works pretty well, as you can see here. But look, if I go on the edges, it starts tipping over. So I kind of learned from this. So let me show you how to create a good pressing cloth. Now you did see a video, I hope you saw a video that I have, that I created this art table, and I created it with this spinning base. It's perfect for my color books or my watercolor paintings and things like that, because I can tape it down, I can put the coloring book down, and then I can color one area, and if I need to move it, I can easily move the table, and then instead of moving the paper, and just continue on coloring. It's perfect for that. Not so much for pressing cloth. So we really need to create a nice sturdy one. The other thing I learned, so what you have to do is create a larger base in order to support the weight, and so that way you don't get any movement. The other thing is, this is too small. It could be a little bigger, so I made the top a little too small. So this is the one I created, and this was inspired by a famous it's called a turnabout, and you can buy it each piece separate. So it has a base in Amazon, it's like $28. And then you have a cutting mat that it's the same size as the turntable, and that's another $28 to $30. And then you had the ironing top, how they call it, that you can put on the turnabout, the turning table, and that was another 30 or 40 bucks. It was up there. If you bought all three pieces, it was $123. I like that. I just did not like the price. So I decided to create my own. I did see another video of another lady that created that same type of table using a round wood, and I'll show you in a moment what I used. So I used a 12 by 12 base, and I made sure that the base was in the middle here. So that's very important that you do place this that is equal size throughout. And then the other thing that I did is I put a cork on here, so that way it will grab onto the surface and will not slide. Then I make sure that I made my circle large enough, and this one you can probably pull it more towards here. I made it large enough so that you can pull this back a little more, and then make sure it pulls it over here. Anyhow, I think it's good enough like that. You can make it a little larger, so maybe my second one I'll make it a little larger than this one, that it really fits around the table. So I went ahead and painted it too, so I wanted to give it a nice little color. It has a spinning top. So let's go ahead and try this out. First we're going to make sure, let's test it to make sure that it doesn't tip over while I iron a large piece of fabric, and see it doesn't tip over. And if I want to move it, I can easily move it. Perfect. Okay. The other thing we're going to test is if it cuts. So let's go ahead. I have this Fisker cutter, and it's a 12 by 12. And I'm going to go ahead, I placed it on the surface here, and I think it's bigger than 12 by 12 because I'm not sure. It looks a little larger than 12 by 12. This is supposed to be a 12 by 12 piece of board. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's a little larger. It's like 13 by 13. This thing, because that is 12 by 12. So let's say I want to create some charm packs. So I got this 5 by 5 little square template, and I can easily just put that there. And then I can take my rotary cutter, and you should be using gloves when you're cutting. And see, without moving my rotary cutter, I can easily just cut out my block. And look how perfect that is. So now I have a charm pack. So let me show you the material that you need in order to create this. You're gonna need a 12 by 12 base, and this you can get it at Michael's. I got it on clearance. I got 5 of these for about $8. Perfect price for this. And this is something that you can put gesso on. So if you buy the 5-pack, 4 of them you can put gesso. You can use it for mixed media, or you can create these and sell them if you want. So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need, this is on Home Depot. You can purchase this for, it was $5.20, 17-inch round wood. And then the other thing you need to purchase as well is the Lazy Susan turnabout. It's called Lazy Susan turntable. I bought it at Home Depot. It's forever built. When I asked them that I wanted a Lazy Susan turntable, they didn't know what I was talking about. The guy that was there, he directed me to the cabinet area, and that's not what I wanted. And I even told him I want the Lazy Susan mechanism that turns, and he didn't know what I was talking about. I had to go on the internet. I had to Google this on the Home Depot site, and then they found it. So you don't have the issue I had. I'm going to go ahead and give you the SKU number, and it's 998538. That number again is 998538. It's called Lazy Susan turntable. It's 6 inches. Okay, and it's built and it's made by Everbuilt. You're going to need that. The other thing you're going to need is some batting. Now you need 100% cotton, warm and natural. If you get polyester, and I'll show you the polyester one. If you get this type, which is polyester, when you put the iron on this, and hopefully I don't burn stuff, but when you put the iron, it's going to melt it a little bit. Kind of melts it a little bit. You don't want that. So you do not want polyester. And I kind of keep this around when I make dolls and stuff like that. I stuff it. So I have a little container I put these in. So you're going to need that. Warm and natural, 100% cotton batting. This is optional because I put 2 layers of either the warm and natural batting, or you can put a layer of that and a layer of this. This is what the stuff that you put for your pot holders. Is supposed to help with insulation, and that way you make pot holders with this and you don't burn your hands. You can use that, a layer of this plus a layer of your batting. That's what I made these 2 with that. So both of these that I have here was made with one layer of this, 1 layer of my warm and natural. However, I don't have enough to cover this for this one, so I'm just going to put 2 layers of warm and natural for this project. And then the last thing you're going to need is canvas. Everything is very inexpensive. This canvas, I got it for a pretty good price. I think because I used a coupon. I went to Joann's and I used a 60% coupon. And I think I got it for about $3 or $4 a yard. And then I got the end of both. So they gave me a little discount there. So you're going to use some cotton. You're going to use some canvas. Why are we going to use canvas? because you're going to hit it after you make it. You're going to hit it with a little bit of water, which is going to make it shrink, and it's going to help it that it'll be nice and tight on your board. So those are the materials you're going to need, aside from screws, a screwdriver, and a drill. So what we're going to do first, because I do like, see how this is raw wood, and I really don't like the raw wood on here because I want to make sure that it is protected. So I'm going to go ahead and paint it. I got some wood, so let me take this off so you can see. You can even take this off like that and then use this, and see, it doesn't slide. And then you can use this to cut stuff. And look, I hate that it keeps coming off. Anyhow, so I'm going to go ahead and paint. See how it's a little different? I want to go ahead and paint, give it a nice little coat of some paint so that way I protect the wood. And then after I do that, we're going to go ahead and come back and create the cover. Since this is a messy project, I'm going to my craft room, which is in my third car garage. And I'm going to go ahead and use this paint. I got this at IKEA. And it's called Behanla. Don't really, Benhanla, whatever. This was, you buy this, so when you buy the little IKEA drawers, those wood drawers, that there's 9 little drawers in a little box. That's where you get the paint in the same area. And I like this, it was very economical, and I like this paint because I like the color. And then I'm going to mix it. And just make sure you mix it very well. Got it nicely mixed. And then I got a very cheapo brush. And you want to paint with the grain, not against the grain. You want to go ahead and paint along the grain. And this project is not a real quick project. It's going to take you at least 2 days to do it. Because you really want to make sure you paint this, let it fully dry before you do anything else. But you can do other, while it's drying, you can do other stuff, like you can create the cover, and you can start cutting out the cork for underneath. Actually, the only thing you can do is create the cover, to be honest. Because everything else, you need to have this done before you can do anything else. And then make sure that you also cover the sides. So make sure you cover the sides. And then underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. So I'm going to paint. I usually give it 2 coats. So I'm going to give 2 coats of this paint. And then we shall be back. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and create the base, my batting for my iron cloth. So I'm going to open up my batting, and I'm going to go ahead and put single layer first. Okay. Then you're going to take, now the other one is still drying. It's painted, so I don't want to use that because it's still kind of tacky. So I'm going to go ahead and create my my pattern. Okay. So you're going to go ahead and cut 2 of these. And now it would have been handy if I would have used this to cut it. Because, you know, I have to turn it over. Which if I had my rotating mat, if I would have done it here, oops, it would have been a lot easier. So let's see. See how easy it is with this rotating mat? Okay, so let me put this aside. And now what we want to do is we want to use this to cut out our canvas. I only need one. Oh, and before we cut our canvas, let's make sure that it fits nicely here. Let me get rid of this. Let's go ahead and check. Okay. Perfect. That's going to work very nice. Let's get our canvas over. So we only need to cut one out of the canvas. Let's see. And what we want to do, I think I'm going to put 4 inches on each side. So let me check something real quick. Okay. I created this with a plastic ruler. I made holes in the middle. It's an EK Success ruler. And it's basically for when I'm using my sewing machine. I have an acrylic table that fits into my sewing machine. I go ahead and tape this down. I put my fabric on here, like so. I put this on here. And then see, you can move, if you tape it down, then you can swivel your fabric around on your sewing machine and you create those beautiful deco circles. So that's what I invented this for. You have to tape it down. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and measure it, make sure I'm in the center. So there's my center. Okay. There's my center, and then I'm going to make sure I tape this down. I always keep masking tape handy in my sewing room because if you're sewing leather, you don't want to use pins on your leather, so I use either binding clips or tape to put the pieces together. I use it for putting this ruler on my sewing machine. That's the other way. So I always have some. And it's also good to put it on your sewing machine when you're marking an exact margin. It's always good to have masking tape. But I'll go ahead and use this here so it doesn't move. That's another thing I keep handy in my sewing room is string. Sometimes I need it. I'm going to go ahead and put the string here, hold it down, and then I want to measure. Let me cut some of the string. I don't need. Let's put the rest of the string away. Okay, so now let's go ahead and measure 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me make sure I got 4 inches here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So up to this point. Make sure we give it enough slack. Hope you kind of understanding what I'm trying to do. Okay. So here's my marking. Then I can take, oh, see it's not big enough. I should have measured it here. So I'm going to have to redo this. And let's measure 3 inches again. This time let's make sure I got 4 inches from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is here. Make sure that I mark out 4 inches. Yep, 4 inches. Ah! Came off. Try not to have it come off. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's remove this. Okay, now we're going to do the same technique for the inside because I don't really want my batting to just be right against the wood. So I want to go ahead and put a nice lighter fabric underneath. Let me go get that fabric. And a lot of times what I do is I repurpose old sheets, bedding sheets, and that's what I use. Again, I'm going to use the same technique. This time I'm going to go leave about at 2 inches. Okay. And here's the other piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some spray adhesive. Tack it down. And it says that it doesn't move when I sew it. That's going to be my center right here. Okay. This is going to be my center here. And this is going to be the inside. So I'm going to put my center there. Guess I should have put the center out on the outside. So I'll put my center here and then bring this over. And that's how it's going to fit. That's just going to be inside. I'm going to baste this. I'm going to go ahead and give it, I should have just, the last one I serged it. before I put it on. I took my serger to have it oiled and cleaned because I have an insurance on it, that so I take it every quarter to have it oiled and cleaned, and I forgot that I had this project already in mind to do. So let me go over to the sewing machine, and actually maybe I can just tack it in like that. Let me see, maybe I'll just use pins. So what I'm doing is right here, I'm going to sew right along the edge here, but I want to go ahead and tuck it in so it'll be a nice finish. Ideally, what you want to do is, like I did with this one, I serge all the edges, and then that way it had a nice finish. But don't have my serger handy right now. It's actually being oiled and cleaned because I used it a lot when my sister was here last week. So and it's been a while. It's been over 4 months since the last time I oiled and stitched it, so I don't have it handy. So I think this is gonna have to do what I'm doing right now. So I'm tucking it in, leaving a little bit for me, a little bit gap here, so that way I can sew it right at the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and pin everything, and then we'll go to the sewing machine and put this together. I realized I wasn't recording after I'm halfway through. Luckily my thread broke, so that's why I stopped, and I realized I wasn't recording. So what you need to do is see how I have it stitch here right close to the edge. So I'm stitching a zigzag along the edge, so that way I can encase my batting in the layers here, and that will make a nice little finish for this. And if you don't have one of these purple things, they're great to have. I really love my purple thing. You can also use an awl. And let me see if I find my awl. You can also use an awl. I do have this here. It does the same thing, but I preferred it plastic because that way I don't put holes on my fabric. Plus, if I catch it underneath, it's not gonna mess up my machine. So that's why I like this plastic one. You can also use chopsticks. So it helps if you have something underneath kind of guiding your fabric. You want to go slow rather than fast here because you want to have a nice little stitch. And when you stop with the needle down so that way it doesn't move. Make sure that you also sew the batting along with the edge, and make sure the zigzag catches the batting and the edges of your fabric here. So I'm done with the zigzag, and look how beautiful that finish looks. And then look on the other side, it looks nicely finished. So the next thing I want to do is, because I don't have my serger, it's actually being serviced, so I'm going to go ahead and put a nice little zigzag on the edge here, and then I'm going to fold in. And I'll show you a trick before you fold it in. I'm going to baste it so that way I can gather the edges a little bit, and then I can fold it in. So let me go ahead and do that zigzag on the edge. And then I'm going to show you a trick that I have in order when you want to create a channel with fabric or with a form that it's rounded. There's an easy way to create that channel so it doesn't look real bunched up. So let me go ahead and do the zigzag, and then we'll be back. Then now what I'm going to take is, I'm going to take a needle and thread, and I'm going to put a base stitch just on the edge right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a nice big stitch. And what this is going to do is I'm going to go ahead and then gather, and when you gather you can go ahead and create that nice little channel that is on a curve around your piece. And then I'm going to iron this before I bring it back to the sewing machine. So let me go do that real quick and I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and gather the edges. So what you do is after you put your basting, you just gather the edges. And trust me, by doing that basting, it really makes it nice and easy to get a perfect round channel. Otherwise, you'll be struggling trying to create that. Okay, I removed all the based stitch. Now I'm going to sew it. And see how nice that looks? Look how perfect that curve is by doing that. So you want to gather and then pull it and then use a template, a little simple template, and then use that to iron the edge in. So let's go to the sewing machine and finish this up. So now you want to leave an opening, so I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch and then back stitch, and then I'm going to go around. So now right here I'm at the end, there's a little opening, so I back stitch here, and then I'm going to go ahead and back stitch right here. So that way when I put my elastic, it doesn't pull apart. And trim the threads. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put my elastic inside this channel. So let's go ahead and get some elastic. And this is about 1/2 inch. Let's see. This is actually a 3/8 of an inch. I believe this is 1/2 inch of elastic. And then I usually just take here. I'll take a safety pin. I'll put it on the edge of the elastic, and then I'll get some tape and I tape it because it will pull apart. Sometimes it pulls apart from here and it opens up inside the channel, and I don't want to risk that, so you take some tape and I got some tape here, just some regular masking tape. I'll just go ahead and put it around so it does not open up on me while it's inside that channel. Okay. Now let's go ahead and place that inside the channel. And just pull it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it inside and pull along the channel, and then I shall be done. So I have it on the other side, so see, I pulled it to the end, and then I make sure that it's very gather, as you can see here. Now I'm going to go ahead and stitch. So I'm going to cut this off. Easier to cut off. And then I'm going to stitch this on here. Cut the excess off of your elastic. Then make sure you pull enough slack. Change your stitch to a zigzag. Now you're going to go ahead and bring it across here. You're going to go ahead and zigzag that. I want to make sure it doesn't come off or comes out. Then once you do that, you ease it into the channel, and then you even out the gathers. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a straight stitch, and I'm going to enclose that little area here. So how you enclose that is you're going to go ahead and push your elastic in. You're going to straighten the elastic. You're going to stretch it so that way you have a straight, and try not to catch the elastic, but if you do, it still will work, but try not to catch the elastic, and then sew the channel shut. I'll go ahead and ease that around. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make sure it fits our prototype. Okay, make sure to even out the gathers, and then we got to make sure it does turn with this. It does turn. It'll be nice and sturdy and see, it doesn't move around. Perfect. And then, let me go ahead and put this underneath. And because it actually came in a little further in than my last one, it doesn't move as much, which is good when you're ironing. You may want to have a little bit of movement, but not too much when you're ironing. So I like it. Perfect. So let's go ahead and finish. So this is my prototype. So I am creating another one of these. So let's go ahead and go back to my craft room to finish the other one that I'm creating of this one. To put this Lazy Susan on this piece here. So this is my base, and you're going to put it here, and then when it flips over, that's going to help me drill it in there, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And I've been working with this project, so my hands are kind of dirty a little bit, so excuse me if I have dirty fingers. I had a viewer comment that my hands were dirty. Well, if you play with paint, your hands do get dirty. Now, I did put some some glove in a bottle. I just put some of that. And I've been restoring a sewing machine, so I got a lot of grease in my hand because of that. But let's go ahead and get through it. So I want to center this on here. So we got 12 inches. Let's see if I can center this. This is 12 inches. We want to make sure that it's centered. So let's go ahead and see. Got a little less than 3 inches there. Let's go ahead and push this. Let's do 3 inches here. This base is 6 inches. It's about, I think this is more than 6 inches. It's a little more. So let's go ahead and make sure it's center. Looks like it might be centered there. Centered there. Bring this down. Okay. Let's make sure we got it center. Because it makes a difference. If you have it off center, then when you spin it, it's going to be a little off. And so that's not a good thing. So you want to make sure you have it center. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this to make sure, keep it in line. So I do have it now marked. And the reason why I have it marked is I'm going to put a little bit of glue. I can't find my Gorilla Glue, but I'm going to use this E-Sig 6000. And now that I have it on here, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and use very tiny screws. Bought these tiny screws and I'm going to screw that in. So just screw your base in, and I recommend that you use some glue, so just make sure you make it nice and sturdy, especially if you're giving these as gift. You want to make sure that it's not going to fall apart on them. And then once I put my screw in, make sure you use a small screw, don't use a large screw that it's going to come across on the other side. Then I measure the full hose, and I'm using a big drill to create a big hole, because once I put that on the base, and I'm going to go ahead and put some more adhesive, and I'm just looking for screws that's going to fit it. So I'm going to put some more adhesive after I center it, and then I'm going to place it down, and I'm going to use those holes to guide me to get to the hole on the other side. So that way I'm placing my, screwing in my turntable in. Then I'm going to put a lot of glue on the surface here, and I'm going to use foam because I didn't have a large enough cork. So I'm going to use foam, and then I'm going to let that dry overnight. Okay, so it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the excess. So just take a sharp blade. Yep, this is sharp. And then I'm just going to cut the excess off. Okay, I put my knife away, and there is my finished piece. This is nice and smooth. It rotates. I can easily put a cutting mat on here to cut whatever I need to cut. For example, I can let me bring my blade, so if I had a template, I can cut here, and and turn it around and cut. See how easy it is to cut? So, perfect. And then the other thing, and I wouldn't use this one, this is my craft cutting mat. I do have one for fabric. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring over my cover that I created, and see it's a little smaller. Then we're going to just put it on our base. And since I'm in my craft room, I got to be careful I don't get this dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it over. See, I made when I put my batting in, I went ahead and encased it, and that's what I'm using, as you can see here, that's what I'm using to make sure that it lines up with the edge, so that way it's even. Okay, go ahead and straighten it out. Put the excess underneath it, like so. Making sure it's even. Now you even want to bring some of the excess from here over to this side. So just pull it. And I think it's nice and smooth now. So it's ready to go ahead and iron. So I hope you like this video and how you can create one of these cutting mats and ironing board. modeled by an expensive tool out there that it's over $100 and you can get it at Amazon. I'll put the link of the expensive tool so that way you can see it, but I think you're better off making your own. So I hope you like this video and thank you for watching. Bye now.